Hello and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. It is October 30th and we are starting over here in the B building. This is basically where I started and finished my day. Technically last night I crafted myself a Scenarium drone so I don't need to, or Scenarium princess, so I don't need to keep up my breeder reactor anymore. I believe it is keeping up just fine. Yeah, 12k right now, so if I ever need to bump this up later on, obviously that'll be good, but 12k is plenty. I think I had the breeder drone only maintaining a level of 4,000 before, so we're definitely good there. Over here, power fail. I think I know what that is. Oh yeah, the assembly line. I'm gonna have to look at that. I think. But anyways, the other thing I started the actual today off crafting was the mica bee. I noticed just from all the fusion coils and stuff I've been crafting, I think I was down to like 1k mica, so I was gonna have to set up a miner again. But it's like, well, I set up a miner when I can make a bee. Now I'm back up to 34k, so I do actually at some point, not right now, but like more of like a weekend rearranging task. So I'm liking the way this is going, like this new row I set up today. But just to like going through and like, okay, I don't really need the mica bee running full blast constantly. So like setting up more rows that are lower tier of power for a lot of the other stuff that I don't have running on these guys and what have you, and like rearranging some stuff because like the scenarium until I don't really know when. I don't think I need really that much of it. The thing I do need a lot more of, however, which would go on like a higher tier row, for example, would be steel. Weirdly enough, I was kind of surprised. Start off of the day, I went to start crafting a bunch of stuff, and I was out of steel. So I moved one steel down here, and then that kind of caught me up. And then I threw a second one down, and then at the end of the day, I was crafting stuff because I had plans after work, and I was like, oh, I'll just throw bunch of big crafts on and come set up some multi-blocks tonight, and I was out of steel again. So I threw three more down here. Though I did forget to set up these drawers up here to actually pull the items out, so in reality only the ones I had going earlier today were actually like producing resources, but should be all going now, so I will be good here after a little while. The next thing I did, which kind of works out that this power fail is down there, is set up the assembly line, which I'm curious why this is failing. It should not have. Max amperage, vanadium, gallium. This is 16 amp cable, LEV. Coming out of a 16 amp dynamo hatch. You know, I might honestly just need to. I don't know. I don't know why this is struggling to keep up. Maybe I need to put like diodes on these so each one only pulls in 1 amp at a time. Because it really shouldn't be power failing, because the rest of these, even though there's 16 batteries here, like even my largest, like the recipe that's running right now is an electrical motor. So in reality, like down here, we're only, we're pulling 32 out, but like why? Like it should be fine. So, but this, if you couldn't tell, I did upgrade today to be all LEV energy hatches, and specifically so I could start crafting the circuit line, which you can see I have set up here, but I'll get to that that'll be the last thing I talk about. But part of setting this guy up was waiting on these LUV energy hatches, which I'd already started the day off crafting a bunch, and it was taking forever. So while I was waiting on these guys, I did go around kind of overclocking and upgrading the power on like some of my random LCRs, where like this one down here is my nano nano wafer LCR, so this was just EV, now it's overclock, so that made it 4 times faster. Moved over here was my first multi-block that I actually set up with the this dual interface sub network type thing, so it kind of looks a little goofy compared to the way I set them up now. But I moved the pattern out of here to my IV one that's up over here. Technically it's LUV because it's also overclocked. I also set up a chemical bath on this floor to remove like the quantum eyes and everything off of single blocks and put them onto here, because those were still, I didn't realize I still had those on an HV chemical bath, so it was taking a minute per chemical eye. Now it takes like something like 2 seconds. And I did set this one up in particular because to be smart blocking mode to allow same recipe instead of normally I just use blocking mode. Some machines, especially the bulk producing ones, I might go through and change just depending on if there's something that's like holding up crafting times. But that was one of the main ones. Then I started setting up these mega LCRs. Specifically, I want one of them to do the circuit boards, and then one to do the wafers, and just to help speed those up, because those are really like bottlenecking my crafting speeds, and it is taking quite a bit of time. Though, now I'm saying out loud, I wonder, PCB factory, what is this tiered behind? LUV, so ZPM. So once we hit ZPM, this will be something I definitely look into. I realize no, this is not the one I was thinking of. Circuit board. Say this guy. Oh, it is PCB factory that's made in. That multi-block must have changed shape. I swear it was like a big ol' block looking thing similar to the Mega Vacuum Freezer, but maybe that changed with 2.8. It's been a long time since I've looked at the layout for it, but I will definitely go about crafting this as soon as I can to try to help speed things up. Next up though, well, the technical like first multi-blocks I ended up setting up for today, before I went into like my long waiting fest, was I set up 2 more fusion reactors. Did this guy power fail? Or did it actually finish its recipe? 32. Something has gone wrong here. That's annoying. But I will fix that here in a little bit. So I did have this running for Europum, and it seems like the hydrogen portion of the recipe failed. I should have hydrogen. Oh yeah, I've got plenty of hydrogen, so I'm not quite sure why that failed. That's interesting. Down here right now we have it running. It is currently making boron plasma for us, which looks like it's going to be used pretty soon here to start making netherite items, like when boron plasma. And then if we come over this plasma arc furnace, you can see it's used to make all these different netherites. I did go through and remove the recipe for the dense one that I had in the EBF up there, because it takes double netherite plate. No, that's not what I was thinking. Boron, dense netherite plate. Because this one takes 36 of these guys, so you really don't want to use this recipe plus 8 dense and fused, versus this recipe where it only uses 9 and 1. So I did remove that recipe, so none of that stuff's actually crafting right now. Intensely bonded. Intense. How are we at? We're at 30. So actually, I wouldn't even have fired yet. I did have those machines up there while I was having power issues turned off, so I could catch up on some stuff. But I do have them turned back on now. But yeah, I got these set up. I set up a third one. There was a reason I wanted this, but at the moment I've kind of like lost the plot of where or what I was going to have firing off in there. So right now it's just inactive, but it's there for when I want to use it. And see that it failed again. That is really frustrating. I'm gonna have to mess around with that, figure out what's up. I think if I tried diodes, that should work. I bet. I don't know. So then from there though, we're going to hop back down there anyways, because that's where the rest of a lot of my progress was. So after I got this guy upgraded, I was able to go I think I see what's up. I have single batteries in here, which is what I did with the IV, but apparently this is just pulling too much voltage, so it's going to just shut that out for the moment. Instead, I'll get LUV batteries, which I've got a bunch going, and then the 16, so we can get 10 of these crafting. Right after I finish here, I'm just going to replace all these and put 2 batteries and everything. It's pulling just a little bit more than 1 amp, so that should fix it, I believe. We'll see. But anyways, that issue aside, I crafted this guy, this thing, because again, so the quest calls for 4 circuit assembly if we were going to the mass processing tab. Circuit assembly, which I did craft for, but I don't have the other stuff crafted. But I got this one set up as just a generic circuit assembler, as well as some single blocks down here to pull basically everything out of the clean room down there. So this guy's making me molten tin, this guy's making me molten glass, and then this guy is just making glass. So this is all a nice little contained thing, and then they're on storage buses. And then this guy is just basically a multi-block circuit assembler right now. This is not it uses the same layout as a circuit assembly line, except for if we were to look at the bottom, like it's just single interfaces and single inputs. But already this is like substantially faster. I think it's 5 seconds for the the EV nano circuit versus 20 seconds over there, etc., etc. So this is already, I wanted to set this guy up and get circuits crafting over here faster, as well as, since this is LUV, I can throw in the 4 crystals before I imprint them, and then the 4 actual circuit assemblers I'm going to put along here. There is a little bit of work I need to do tomorrow to get these set up. So like my main goal tomorrow will be to get 4 of these circuit liners set up, maybe a 5th one if I'm feeling extra good about it. But I want to get the 4 crystal ones set up. But to do that, like if we were to look at a crystal circuit, for example, crystal processor, and we were to look at this recipe, circuit assembly line, it takes wrap circuits. So I need to basically go through and like set up all these recipes, which in itself is not a big deal, but I also am going to need to actually finally update my molten polyethylene, which I have plenty, but I assume after a little bit of crafting my LUV polyethylene, I have 4 million, so I have a bit of a backlog, but I assume as soon as I start like using this more intensely, this process won't keep up, because this is literally all still made in my MV base off of LV single block machines is what makes my polyethylene. I just don't, even with how many SMDs and stuff I go through, I just haven't used enough to take the time to update that to be better, which realistically is going to be pretty straightforward. It'll just be, I don't know why I took off the search. I'm just going to do an LCR with a couple air intake hatches on a circuit 9, so this recipe right here, and then that should be plenty fast to keep up with polyethylene for my purposes, because it'll be, I mean, we divide this by 2 a bunch of times, and yeah, so we'll have lots of polyethylene. I just need to set up that infrastructure for the wraps. I do believe I have everything else actually crafted for this already, besides a bunch of stocking input buses, which we have steel now, so I should actually be able to. I've got 10. I want to craft like 30 of these before I forget. Yeah, that'll be the plan for tomorrow, is to start setting up these lines. today was pretty sweet. Let's see. Well, I wrote some notes because, let's see, slow circuits, band-aid tears. Yeah, so basically the goal for tomorrow will be to set up these circuit assembly lines, and then if I have the time before, like, start messing around with Halloween stuff, I'll set up more actual assembly lines, because I believe I have a bunch of that. No, I didn't start crafting these. What the heck? I need to start. Why am I short coal? I want to get more of these crafts. Basically, right now I want to like upgrade for speed and be able to make the start of ZPM a lot more smooth. Technically, I could get away with just this thing, especially after I fix this little power issue I have going on, but I don't want to do that. I want to kind of like do it right to make it smoother, because this tier started off smooth and then got really rough, so we'll trying to avoid that because it was kind of frustrating. But yeah, appreciate you for watching. I'm going to get to working on setting up these circuit assemblers and figuring out how they work. Oh, I did set up a cutting machine in slicing mode as well to make the imprints I need for these, but it's just a cutting machine. It's a few floors up. But yeah, appreciate you for watching. Hope you have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.